Hey everybody, it's the Fuzz. So it's time to talk about the cards that have been revealed so far, such as the one that's on screen right now. 4 out of the 7 we now know, and we also know that all except for this one will have the tainted mechanic, which reads: when this creature comes into play, if you don't have at least 3 evil aspects, lose 3 life. Alright, anyways, starting with Pandemonium of Darkness. So we had a really funny gaffe with this one on stream when, after Masters, Jodo joined us in order to just go on a tirade against this card. How it's the most broken thing ever. Well, before noticing that little sign there next to it that says you have to remove one of your levels, the red X. Of course, if the card simply read gain 2 levels of any of those 3, it'd be pretty overpowered. But it's not. You have to sacrifice a level, which means you only really gain 1 level. The more I thought about this card, the more I found it to be kind of disappointing. I can see why they went in this direction, because Trigon is kind of too good. They didn't want another Trigon. But this card is just significantly worse. It doesn't help you do what you want. The main reason to run a card like this is you want to be able to mix and match colors as you see fit. That's what Trigon does. In fact, Trigon is excellent at this because it allows you to play 3 aspects while only having 2 actual levels. You can play, let's say, a nature level and then a order wisdom with the Trigon, and then you can play all of the good cards from any of those 3 aspects except any ones that have double requirements. But if you go double Trigon, you could bypass even that requirement by just picking, let's say, white, blue, and then white, green, and then you can play any of the cards, and you can play double white, for instance. With this one, not only can you not do that, because you have to choose 2 of the same color, it does not help you mix and match, because after you play a Pandemonium of Darkness, you'll have 2 of the same. And let's say if you're playing it in a 3 aspect deck, you'll have, let's say, 2 rage and 1 something else. Well, you could just play regular cards, right? There is not really any reason to play this in a 2 aspect deck if you're just going to use 2 aspects. Just much like you don't really play Trigon unless you want to play, unless you want to mix and match. So I think this is a little bit weaker than it needs to be, while Trigon is stronger than it needs to be. Both cards should let you choose one of the 3 aspects, good or evil, and just gain a level in that. That way they would both have the same purpose of letting you essentially mix and match. Sadly, Pandemonium it's gonna lag behind a little bit. Now, as for the second ability, I mean, it's 5 mana to basically play Succubus without the effect, without the body. I mean, without the body. And when it comes to Succubus, the body is pretty important. It's the main reason you really play her. Without that body, it's just not the same. And not to mention, it's 5 mana and costing 3 corruption. Even if it was 3 generic, which is what I originally thought it should be, it's not really going to help, because the main reason you're playing a card like this or Trigon is for the ability to splash colors. But since this doesn't really help you do that, then there's not much reason to play this at all. Now, I think it'd be an interesting thing if instead of losing a level, you gained 2 levels, but let's say lost a mana crystal instead. Then it still wouldn't be ramp, because you're still only getting ahead 1 level / mana, but at least it'd be kind of neat being able to suddenly jump up 2 levels. I think that'd be cool, but suddenly that's not the case. So Pandemonium, I don't expect to see it much, sadly. Now, for a card that we do expect to see quite a bit of is the Harbinger of Sorrow. All 4 of us, that is to say myself, Album, Jodo, and Hall Y'all. Actually, sorry, 5, because Duel was in on this as well. We are all looking for a variety of ways to use it. So this is the first of the Tainted cards. When it comes into play, you get Enchained Souls equal to half of the amount of life you lost, rounded up. So if Tainted hits when you play this, you're going to get 2 souls. That's not bad, actually. 2-4 is an interesting stat line. The only other card that has it is the Night Escort. And you get 2 extra bodies on top of that. Seems good. The 4 health means it's particularly resilient against Rage because all of their normal removal cards can't touch it. So the first question you probably have is this good in Demons? Why, yes, I think it is. The more I look at it, the more I think this might replace Bedeviled Fiend, actually. It's the same mana slot as Bedeviled Fiend, but while it doesn't provide as much attacking power, the ability to heal and the ability to put more bodies on the board fits extremely well with Enoch. Just as an example, if you have 2 portals on the board and they deal 7 damage to you, you know, 1 does 3, 1 does 4, and then you search out 2 Harbingers of Sorrow, they're going to summon 4 souls each. And that's going to be 10 creatures total for 2 mana. And then if you hero power, let's say some other creature you had on the board, you're getting 10 life, and then you can sack the souls, and you end up with 18 life out of the deal, even though you only took 7. Not only do you recover this whole turn, you also cover the next turn, and then you can do the same trick if in between you can just play a Vulture. This basically allows you to sustain 2 portals. Now just think of that. Usually when demons played 2 portals, they were gonna die really fast, or you were gonna die really fast. With this, they could actually keep going for quite a few turns, and every turn they're searching out 2 additional cards, and they all cost 2 less. Pretty terrifying when you think of it this way. So expect Harbinger to for sure see play in Demons, possibly replacing Bedeviled. Maybe you keep 1 or 2 Bedevileds. Maybe you cut Herald of Despair. Maybe you cut a little bit of everything. Oh, we'll see. The card could also see play without Demons. Among the ideas were Spoils of War, because if you just summon enough of these souls, you could just immediately sacrifice them and then play Spoils of Wars and draw 3 cards. Or just in general for the 3 bodies on the board. Though once it gets to 3 aspects and you don't get the souls, it's going to be a lot more difficult to make use of the Harbinger because it's just a 2-4. And without Portal damaging you, I don't think it's really going to be particularly good. But while you have 2 aspects, while you lose the 3 life, a 2-4 with 2 speed and 2 1/1s with flying and 3 speed for the cost is actually pretty respectable. Yeah, you lose 3 life, but it's not a big deal. Someone also mentioned interactions with advanced Nephiros who do additional damage to you when this comes back. However, with advanced Nephiros, just like I mentioned, you have to have 3 aspects, and at that point it becomes a lot less good. Basically, the bottom line is primarily expect this card in Demons, but you might see it somewhere else. But this is definitely the most interesting card revealed so far, and the one that has the most potential. I mean, not potential, it's gonna see play, that's for sure. Now move on to Jodos cards. The first one, well, this actually is the second one, but it doesn't really matter. Catacomb Keeper. So this is the first of the good Tainted cards, and by good I mean good aspect. And the first thing you'll notice is any Tainted card that is of a good aspect has a problem, because you have to have 3 levels in evil aspects to not lose the life. So you'd have to be 4 aspects before you not lose the life with this one. So basically, expect to lose life with this one. So what do we got? When it enters the field, draw a card for each of your evil aspects and discard a card for each of your good aspects. So you don't really want to play this on curve unless you're specifically discarding Bezarok and then following up with a Reanimate to get him back immediately. That could actually be pretty good, getting back the value immediately. Other than that, if you just wait a little bit, if you play it on 2 aspects, 3 mana, then it's essentially Airship. It draws and discard, but it's a 3/3 instead of a 1/5. I'd say Airship is better because it's flying also, so it's harder to kill, and Airship can keep doing this effect every single turn. It's when you get to higher levels that it actually starts to be a little bit better. On 3 aspects, it's a draw 2, discard 1 with a 3/3. That's kind of good. Yeah, it's decent. And then with 4 aspects is where you'd really want to play it. It's a draw 3, discard 1 with a body. So that's really good. However, you do have to wait a really long time before it's good. And if you want card draw, you have, you know, Ancient Wisdom. You've got Jin if you want to draw a card every turn as well. So really the only place I could realistically see this card see any play is a Reanimate deck. However, you have to keep in mind that you already have 4 airships. So do you need more airships? Maybe. Maybe you do need more airships. The main hope for this card would be if they ever come up with a mechanic where a card benefits by being discarded, in which case you might just throw this in addition to airship just to abuse that as much as possible. Other than that, though, the card suffers from the not bad but not good enough syndrome, where you don't call this card trash, but at the same time, you know it's probably not going to see play in Constructed, which in my rating system is a 2-star card, basically. And lastly, we've got the Cold-Hearted Paladin. Another tainted card. Again, they're all tainted. Same mana slot as the Demon. 2/2 with 3 speed. Keep in mind, you're going to lose 3 life when you play this most of the time. It gets +1/+1 for each of your evil aspects. And then when it kills a creature, you gain, you steal 1 life for each of your good aspects. So essentially, it's a competition. You know, the good aspects give you more drain. The evil aspect give you more stats. The stats are better. There's no questions about it. You would much sooner play a 5/5 that steals 0 than a 2/2 that steals 3 when it destroys something. That goes without saying. So, how would you play this? You would play this with exactly the 1 order aspect and 2 or 3 evil aspects. If you play it on curve, it's a 3/3, assuming you're playing it with an evil. Obviously, if you're not playing it with an evil aspect, it's completely useless. It's just a 2/2. If you're playing it with an evil aspect on curve, it's a 3/3. Not bad, actually, but not that great, because keep in mind you lost 3 life. It does get better if you played with 3 aspects, then it's a 4/4. But at that point, it's competing with a lot of powerful cards that are 3 aspect, 3 mana, such as Phoenix, such as Gomer Ironbeard, such as even Battlescarred Elder is also a 4/4. It only has 2 speed, but it draws you a card, and you don't lose 3 life. So while it's a neat card, it does not only does it require a more specific deck than most of these other cards, it doesn't even compare that favorably. Yeah, at 4 aspect, it's a 5/5 with 3 speed, and that's pretty good. I'll give you that. You know, that's just a huge beat stick. But you're waiting a really long time just to get a huge beat stick, when if you get to 4 aspect, you're looking at cards like Red Dragon and Karthus and Antriel, and those are tough to compete with, and Cold-Hearted Paladin doesn't quite do it. It's a Knight, but that's mostly meaningless since the Knight synergy comes from Order itself and cards like Namir. But you can't really play this with Namir because Namir requires double Order, and if you're playing double Order, well, this card is just not very good. For 1 more mana, you could just play Descendant of Divinity, for instance. Or, on 3 aspects, Gomer Ironbeard. So, yeah. Much like the card before this, it has the not bad, but not good enough. That's at least how I think of it. You know, it could be pretty decent in draft if you play the right aspects. You know, it is a rare, though, so it's not like you're going to get too many of them. But if you happen to be playing Order and, I don't know, something evil, this could be a good card. I think we would need more cards like that before Cold-Hearted Paladin could see play. It's also entirely possible it could just never see play, because it'll never be able to compete with the cards on its level. On 2 aspects, it's, you know, it's not better than, say, Soluxio. It's significantly worse than Soluxio, in fact. On 3 aspect, it's worse than Phoenix, worse than Ironbeard. Yeah, definitely worse than Ironbeard. Comparable to Elder, but Elder has no other drawbacks and can be played with just 1 aspect in anything. And on 4 aspects, you know, you're looking at, again, Karthus, Dragon, that sort of thing. Generally, 4 aspect decks tend to be control decks anyways. Although we did see in Masters Force, there was that prosperous ruling deck that was using artifacts, that was going 4 aspects to get the sentient to get up to 4 levels and get the big bonus. So, you know, in a deck like that, it could actually be a decent 5/5, but you're going really out of your way just to play this, is my main issue. You're going out of your way to play a card that's not significantly better than cards of that mana slot, and it has to be a specific deck. So, much like the previous card, the Keeper, yeah, I don't think this is actually good enough for Constructed. But we'll see. And I'm none have a problem being wrong, but at a glance, based on what I just thought about, it doesn't seem to be quite good enough. Anyways, that's it for the reveals. The last 3 cards will come much closer to the actual release, which is sometime near Christmas. So 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, whatever. Looking forward to those. It'll be the Dominion, the Rage, and the Nature Tainted cards. We'll see what they do with those. One thing about the Tainted mechanic, I think it could be expanded upon a little bit, because right now it just does the same thing every time. It's just deal 3 damage unless you have 3 evil aspects. But they could have put a number next to it for, and say, Tainted 2 or Tainted 4, which could modify how much damage you take, for instance, or how many requirements you have to have. Because as it is, unless the card itself interacts with life loss, the way the Demon does, for instance, the Demon was nicely done, because if you did lose the 3 life, it played differently than when it didn't. Then the card, the Tainted just seems like an annoying drawback that just gets forgotten about, probably. It's not really a mechanic you can work with in any way. I don't know what the other cards are going to be, if there's ever going to be more Tainted, but I do hope they consider maybe updating Tainted a little bit to be a little bit more specific and have a little bit more ability to be played with. Because as it is, it's just kind of like a, oh, well, if you could just take away Tainted and the card would probably just be better. With the exception of the Demon. The Demon was nicely done. When I saw it the first time, I was actually pretty hopeful, thinking, hey, that's pretty cool. But these 2 cards, they're just worse for having Tainted, really. You could just take away Tainted, and they probably still wouldn't be good enough to be played. But they have to you have to lose an additional 3 life to play them. So yeah, bit of a bummer. But anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Certainly once the custom cards are finished, they're not far off. I think there's like 1 more that has to be done. Scatterlord's Bidding. I'll be, you know, kind of reviewing those cards, because they are going to be kind of new cards entering the game. Reworking some of the less exciting cards of the past. And those will be hitting with the release as well. You can join the beta if you want to play them with them right away, but I won't be doing that because I don't have a tablet. So if you want to find out more about the beta, you can check out the forums. I'll drop a link in the description. Anyways, see you next time.